Now, put the trigger in the atomic core.
Stop him. Stop him, Bartlett.
It's futile to call on Bartlett for help. He's immobilized.
Alan, listen to me! It's Koenig! It's Koenig!
You're a truly primitive organism, Commander. We could have given you an eternity of happiness in an instant of time. Now your life will be what the life of your species has always been. Cruel and futile.
It's better to live as your own man than as a fool in someone else's dream.
Stay with us for a complete 6-episode Doctor Who adventure coming up at 10 o'clock. In the meantime, we'll spend a few minutes talking with an expert on comic books for your amusement. That's coming up next on KTEH's Sunday Science Fiction Night.
Reality. Shall we try in the silence of our tiny room to make love with all eternity? Come with me, let us be more than free.
Whatever they got you on.
You'd be living in a hilly environment. You'd be in Earth normal atmosphere. There'd be a lot of vegetation, and there might be a river. You could fly. You don't have to worry about weather. The weather can be whatever you choose to make it. You've got sunlight available 24 hours a day. It should be a very comfortable place to live. So a space colony would be very Earth-like.
If you stayed inside your bedroom for 3 months at a time, can you imagine how incredibly bored you might become? The interior of the environment, it has to be able to change.
You need to design an environment for people to be happy in it and to have fun. Nice, warm, cozy.
The whole environment should have the ability to change color, change your lighting.
We need to have plants. We need to have art.
And there's a lot of engineering involved. There's a lot of architecture involved. Well, anywhere you have people, you need interior designers.
How can we create opportunities for people to engage in business?
It's going to be competitive because everyone's going to want a piece of the action.
My first trip to the moon, there wasn't much there. Just a research complex and a mining facility out in the middle of nowhere. Now there are 3 different communities, lots of people, new businesses. Everyone's got a bright idea.
Miss Ozune?
Right here, Mr. Commissioner.
Contact Galaxy Construction and inform them that we have approved the Lunar Highway project.
Okay.
I've got a little time before we wrap up for the day. What have you got for me?
Well, those hologram faxes from Earth have been stacking up. You know, those unusual proposals you've been putting off for days?
Okay, send them through. Let's see what we got.
Coming up.
Mr. Commissioner, my name is Charmaine. Just Charmaine. I represent New Dimensions Concepts Limited. Now, I want you to hypothesize with me for one moment, okay? You're a mother. No, I don't mean you're a mother. I mean, you're a guy. I mean, I'm a man. A man's man kind of man. That's clear to me. However, hypothesize with me. You're a mother. A busy on-the-job in space kind of mother. So you're out there, you're working in space, you're going, you need your hands free to do whatever it is out there that you want to do out there in space, you know. So what do you do with the kid? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You get one of these. We're calling it the baby bubble. I mean, what else could you call it? A completely safe, total life support system, all hooked up to good old mom. I know what you're thinking. I know. You're thinking, what if I have more than one kid? What if I have a bunch of kids? No problem. We call this model the old tote and float. Don't you just love it? Now, if you like that, you're gonna love this. Completely new idea. Everyone knows that microgravity up here makes bones and muscles all soft and flabby. And of course, everyone wants to come to space, but nobody wants to exercise. No one. Well, now you can when you use my own line of exercise wear called bungee undies. Bungee undies lets every move you make work a different part.
I'm an astronaut. I'm also a doctor. But when we think about having humans in space, there are certain changes that occur in the human body. There is no gravity.
You tend to float, and by floating, you don't use your muscles and your legs and your arms, so exercising is very important.
We have developed exercise devices that work in microgravity.
They do exercise for the whole body.
Take the weightlifter. Well, if we take some barbells up in space, it doesn't weigh anything. So we have to come up with different ways to do that.
Each of them have to exercise a certain amount of hours. Well, it's up to the crew member, the astronaut, to do it, but they always do it. Exercising is basic for their lives.
Commissioner. I'm Dr. DeMont Stockton, representing Astrobiogenetics. We mix life forms for convenience and a better tomorrow. Commissioner, everyone on the colony understands the labor involved in greenhouse farming. It's spacesuit on, secure helmet, boots and gloves, then airlock out, trek to the greenhouse, grab some vegetables, then it's trek back to the habitat, airlock in and off with that darn suit again. Very unproductive use of time and energy. Now, our solution involves combining a popular carbohydrate source with a mobile protein source. Our carbohydrate source, the ordinary potato. Our protein source, the common field mouse. Thus, through genetic engineering. Genetic engineering, we combine the two. So you see, Commissioner, mouse plus potato equals a mouse potato. So you see, the mouse potato, if you will, upon reaching maturity, claws its way through the lunar surface, runs madly through the lunar night, and leaps excitedly into handy storage bins, which of course we will develop, we will provide. So, you see, you no longer have to suit up to go and get your food. Your food, in effect, will suit up and come directly to you. The working title for our project is Trottin' Taters.
Being able to figure out how we're going to feed people in space is one of the really interesting, fun things that's going on.
As food scientists, one of our challenges is going to be to design the food system that would be good in zero gravity.
All the foods are tested before they're packaged for space.
They tend to use a lot of spices when they're up there to flavor up the food.
So you have liquid salt and liquid pepper in space. You can imagine what would happen to astronauts if they tried to shake pepper on food.
For lunar bases and Mars bases, they would actually be growing some of their own food.
This is a model of what a greenhouse on the moon would look like. You can grow almost anything you want to. The technology we use is called hydroponics, which has no need for soil at all.
If you have water which is enriched with nutrients, then you can provide the food that's necessary for the plants and vegetables to grow. Hydroponically grown vegetables is one of the ways we're going to solve feeding people in space.
The concept is this. The body of a chicken, but the head of a parrot. So you can talk to it. Hello, how are you? How are you feeling? I wish I were a parrot. Things like that. The wings.
Next, Miss Hozuni.
Guile Standish, heavy metal for the masses, interstellar division. The idea is, and me and the band believe we're going to need some sort of governmental support for this. We don't care which government. Perhaps something international or maybe quadripartisan, you know. Anyway, the point is, there's never really been a concert of any kind in zero atmosphere. And me and the boys, well, we'd like to change all that. Now, the bloody critics will argue that sound cannot be produced when there is no atmosphere. But our theory is that no one has ever really been loud enough to make the sound. And of course, one of the strong points of our band is that we are truly profoundly loud. Question: if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Answer: yes, if it is a really loud tree.
Elvis has left the building.
In space, we may come up with a total new look. Clothes may be a lot simpler,
but very comfortable clothing that the crew members can wear. We have a jacket, shorts, long pants. When they change clothes, they just would take the pocket with them.
new materials for clothes.
Meet our flammability requirements.
They can certainly be more colorful.
Maybe a flashy purple or a neon green.
I'd like to get pink in there.
If it works, it's beautiful. How about a new space haircut?
The nebulae, bouffon.
The spacesuit is really the world's smallest spacecraft. It has to have everything that a spaceship has. It has to provide oxygen, it has to provide cooling.
Even eating. The astronaut has a food bar inside the suit, and we even have a drink bag in there.
If you take a look at the human body, it's pretty remarkable from the standpoint of the things that move around your arms.
The human being grows about 2 inches because there's no gravity on the spinal column.
But when he's in space and his spine grows, he'll grow into the suit. It weighs about 220, 250 pounds, depending on the size. There's 11 layers next to the astronaut's body.
Gloves are really the most critical part of the spacesuit.
If the astronaut's gloves don't fit, he can't do his job.
It's cycled. Looking perfect, Anna.
The things we really are focusing on a lot of the times is being able to flex your fingers.
You might have something like this robotic hand.
In some of the new designs, we offer a lot more mobility and flexibility.
For example, I can take this suit and do this, and I don't think you could do that with your normal leg. After you design the suit, then you go into the test program.
My job is a systems engineer. What I do, basically, is test the spacesuit.
We've got over 20 engineers that work on the suit.
In some respects, it's artistic.
You need materials people.
Engineering.
You need mechanical people.
A lot of it's just plain common sense.
You know, Brian's little sister is up here working on an emergency unit. The 911 crews are some of the highest paid people in space. Their main job is to protect settlements from being hit by meteorites and space debris. On Earth, these things burn up in the atmosphere. Up here, there is no atmosphere.
Cap, you want to play in next week's game against A40 Emergency Unit? Hey, Cap.
Nah, I don't know. Their asteroid or ours?
Theirs.
Okay, count me in. I play fifth base.
Just came in for you, Cap.
All right. Super Mario World 1997. This was a great vintage.
Hey, this is 10 years of college, 2 PhDs, commendations up the wazoo, and he lives for these archaic video games.
It took me a long time to find this sucker.
What a mess.
Code red, I repeat, code red, all personnel to safe area immediately. Code red, all personnel to safe area immediately. Code red.
911 call from a mining ship. Solar flare knocked out its computer and it dumped a load of cobalt. There's debris everywhere. Oh boy. It looks like a big slab is headed right at us, fast.
Initiate evasive maneuver program 7.
There's not enough time, we'll never make it.
Now we aren't any.
Flare knocked out the main generator. We're on auxiliary power.
Great, we got 30 tons of debris in our base and we're running on fumes.
Main computer's gone too.
Prepare for a manual link-up.
Link up complete. It's all yours, Cap.
Okay, now we work. You ready to calculate?
Shoot.
It's in the northeast quadrant, 12 degrees, vector 92.
It's coming in at 35,829 miles per hour. We have 1 minute, 22 seconds till impact.
Okay, 360.12 degrees on vector.
1 minute, 13 to impact.
Yeah, gimme.
On vector 236, the velocity setting is 22.679. Go.
There it is. We're in range. We have 48 seconds till impact. The debris is picking up speed.
Recalculate, quick.
The new heading is 279.68 on vector 126. Oh, wait. Make that 127.
29 seconds till impact.
The new velocity setting is 36.995.
Come on, fly, baby. Fly.
And 14 seconds till impact.
What's my range?
Get within a kilometer and you can nail it.
8 kilometers. 7. 6.
Here we go, gang.
5. 4. 3.
Activate lasers. Now.
There it is. That was it. That was supposed to be impact. Nice going, Cat. You too, Einstein.
You did it! Yes!
Good job, Annie.
Not too bad yourself.
Personnel, that's an all clear. You heard me, all clear.
Hey, Annie. Want to play next week's game against 840?
Their asteroid or ours?
Theirs.
Sounds good. I'll pitch.
Perfect. What a team.
You know, Chemo, I don't think I'll ever really get used to zero gravity. There is no up and there's no down. You have to readjust your thinking and a lot of other things.
Waking up, brushing your teeth, eating breakfast, putting on your clothes.
Going to the bathroom becomes a very big deal when you have no gravity.
And all of these things that we do so routinely and take for granted in space, it's a whole new ball game.
So we can restrain everything with Velcro.
You have to secure yourself. And you put yourself in a sleeping bag and you pin yourself up against the wall and sleep.
We're responsible for developing the space station laundry. What this does is it uses very little water, very little electrical power.
Water is at a premium, and it's also recycled. So we want to limit the amount of water that's used. There's no drain, and you would have to remove the water with a vacuum source.
We take that dirty water and we process it, remove the impurities from those waters, so that clean water is then given back to the crew. They can go ahead and drink it again, they can shower with it. We go to the bathroom, we use airflow. We have to make sure that the crew member stays strapped down on the seat.
When an astronaut is out there for 7, 8, or maybe 9 hours, they've got to go.
Really, all the astronauts wear is a diaper.
It's very absorbent.
It's got a chemical inside of it.
It's carried away from the body, so it's not uncomfortable to work in.
We call it super slurper.
Anthony Stromboli, Intergalactic Sports Promotions Incorporated. We're both aware, sir, of the tremendous potential of professional sports on the moon. And naturally, the microgravity situation will enable athletes to perform in ways never before thought possible. So, our idea, multinational competition in 1/6 the gravity. We're calling it the Lunar Olympics. I mean, just rip up the record books. Pole vault of 20 feet on Earth, that's where we start the high jump bar up here. Basketball, 3 words. Raise the hoop. Javelin? Right. Try javel launch. Can you imagine the possibilities? At the same time, we all know that what people are really interested in is hard-hitting contact to enhance their enjoyment of any sporting contest. So, we've come up with an event called No Holds Barred. You take the best of hockey, mix in a little wrestling, a touch of roller derby, put the players on jet-propelled air sleds, and you get the picture. We're talking demolition derby with bad intentions. Oh, sure, you're going to have a few body limbs flying around here and there, but up here in zero gravity, those gaping wounds coagulate in a jiffy. Whoa, no, that's Popoff's head. Where's Waldo? Lots of catharsis for everyone. Pay-per-view.
You're out of there.
Why not have sports in space?
Space sports.
Totally change all the rules.
Things that can't be done on Earth at all. You are no longer under the grip of gravity. How would you like to be able to do 10 somersaults?
Just imagine how high you could jump.
You can be airborne for several seconds at a time.
Whole new definition of hang time. You wouldn't have to be Michael Jordan to slam dunk.
How would you like to try gymnastics in 1/6 gravity?
Zero gravity racquetball.
Football.
Baseball.
Basketball.
Volleyball.
Boxing.
Hockey.
Wrestling.
Rugby.
Tennis games.
High jumping.
Robot races on the moon.
How about ballet?
Space golf.
Mr. Commissioner, Rowdy Udall here for Econo Habitats. Sir, it's come to our attention that space is getting to be an awfully popular travel option. And it's also come across our thinking that a lot more folks would be able to enjoy the great upstairs if it were more, well, you know, affordable. So what we're proposing is a whole chain of economically priced space hotels. We kind of favor the name Astrotel. You see, the big ticket item on all these fancy places seems to be that artificial gravity thing. But we're planning on leaving our customers in zero gravity and letting them have a whale of a good time at a fraction of the cost. And sure, we know that artificial gravity, it helps the bed stay put and keeps the water dripping straight down out of the tap. But we feel folks are just missing out on a whole lot of fun just by having all them conveniences. Now, since you don't pay for gravity at our Astrotel chain, things are going to be a mite different. You'll want to wear plugs in the shower to keep that pesky spray from shooting up your nose. And you might wake up in a peculiar position every now and then. And occasionally you might even have to pull Grandma and the kitties down off the ceiling. Just slap a little Velcro on them, though. They'll stay wherever you put them just fine. Heck, it's all part of the fun of an Astrotel vacation. Now, just like at them fancy hotels, you'll still get that 360-degree Earth view. The only difference is, at Astrotel, you'll be the one doing the 360. So there you have it, Mr. Commissioner. It'd be a real pleasure to have you and the missus as our first guests at Astrotel. In the meantime, we'll have the light on for you.
Well, can't wait to stay there. That's the last one. Anything else?
No, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thanks. See you tomorrow.
mobile robot.
That's okay.
And that's what a rover is. What robots are good for are doing jobs that are too dangerous or too boring. If you can put a robot out on the surface of the moon instead of a person, and you're not putting a person in danger.
The name is Arthur Lonnie Lane. Go by Lonnie. This thing is called Rocky 4. It has a mobility system with 6 tires, steering mechanisms, the wheels to turn, motors to drive it. Power pack is in the back. We use batteries. We have the computer on board. In the box is our science instrument. Here's a little infrared sensor, television camera, very small, very miniature. There's a homing beacon up here, visible spectrometer, sensing elements on the back side, tilt platform, soil scoop, chipper tool, cleats, and all of that's done for about 15 or 16 pounds.
The surface here is extremely similar to that which we find on Mars. And we're here to test a rover. The way this rover is going to work is that from the Earth, we'll tell it where we want to go and what we want to look at.
Work and test area, and a lot of time is spent.
Teleoperation, it's called, operating something from a remote place.
The real action is in the computers. I write the software that goes inside the robot. Just go out and pretend we're on the moon and do stuff like you would on the moon. The Rattler.
We just split the body in half and put an axis across the middle, so each side can move independently.
All 4 tires are in contact with the ground at all times.
That's real important, because if you get it stuck, there's no going out there to pick it up.
Last summer I was out cutting weeds at cemeteries, and this summer I'm out here designing lunar rovers.
It's like being a kid again, but getting a salary for it.
This is really happening. It's really happening right now. I'd love to see the moon so crowded with people and robots that we have a licensing problem. I'd love to see that.
$15 cubic yards of hydrogen fuel in zero gravity with a payload factor of 7. Piece of cake. Combustion temperature of 98.54 divided by the distance from the sun gives a ratio of 533 to 17. Now with radiation factored in. With radiation factored in. That's it.
Well, congratulations. You've passed the written portion of your exam. Road test to the right. Don't forget your slip.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. You'd better bone up on your docking regulations.
You know, chemo, man, when you look out on these stars, it's hard to believe that we're the only ones.
I'm the signal detection team leader in NASA's search for extraterrestrial intelligence. I am, as far as I know, the first totally blind physicist in the United States, and perhaps in the world. We think that there is life out there in the universe, and that we can detect it using very sensitive radio equipment.
The way we're going to do this search is we're going to use radio telescopes like this one, and then we're going to search the sky in a very systematic way. We're looking for radio signals that could be transmitted far across the galaxy and be received here on Earth.
It takes about 100,000 years for light to cross the galaxy. And in that case, the message we would get would be 100,000 years old. That is a star. A little faster, that is a sound from a radar right here on the Earth. That is a more complicated star with a couple of beams radiating from it. That is a natural star that's actually spinning so fast that the sounds blur together into that tone. We're looking for the one pattern that says, "Hi there, we're the extraterrestrial guys."
And it's like looking through an enormous cosmic haystack for a very, very tiny golden needle. Is there life out there? I would be so excited if we could detect a signal that could be coming from other civilizations.
Space is the future. We're pushing off of the planet now.
There's nothing holding us back. It's not like it's physically impossible.
Many of the technologies that exist here have already begun.
We're going to be colonizing the moon in the next 10 to 15 years.
And a few years after that, go to Mars. It's not a dream, it's a reality. We're really planning the trip. We're going to have lots of people living on the moon. We might have cities there. I think we'll see cities on Mars.
The first Martians might be born there at that time. And the universe is a very big place. Mars is just the beginning.
That same new level of technology that will make Mars a close neighbor of the Earth will give us the capability to venture even farther out.
Don't think that you have to train to be an astronaut in order to be in space 30 years from now.
You name the profession and we will have that profession in space.
We're now sending people to space, normal people, regular type of people.
Men, women, different backgrounds.
Scientists and engineers.
Artists and poets and writers.
Different races, different creeds, the whole kit and caboodle. Everyone's going up.
People like you and me.
This morning I went over to my new workspace to check things out. My contract is for 2 years with an option to renew. And the pay is pretty good for a math teacher on the moon. It's gonna be cool teaching kids a foreign language. Take care of yourself, Chemo. And thanks for everything. My best wishes always, Arturo Garcia. Hey, P.S. This morning, I had a baseball on the moon.
Stay tuned as Thursday Science and Information Night continues with the BBC Science program Horizon. Tonight, looking at the huge price tag that comes with today's medical miracles. This outstanding series is next on public television, KTEH.
Video cassettes of Living and Working in Space are available by calling 1-800-828-4PBS or by writing to this address.
This is PBS.
Stay tuned for Horizon. Coming up next as Thursday's Science and Information Night continues. Hi, George Sampson here.
An event called the Cambrian Explosion. We know from the fossil record that life arose shortly after the formation of the Earth, suggesting that the origin of life might be an inevitable chemical process on countless Earth-like planets throughout the cosmos. But on the Earth, in nearly 4 billion years, life advanced no further than algae. So maybe more complex forms of life are harder to evolve, harder even than the origin of life itself. If this is right, the planets of the galaxy might be filled with microorganisms, but big beasts and vegetables and thinking beings might be comparatively rare. By December 18th, there were vast herds of trilobites foraging on the ocean bottom, and squid-like creatures with their multicolored shells were everywhere. The first fish and the first vertebrates appeared on December 19th. Plants began to colonize the land on December 20th. The first winged insects fluttered by on December 22nd. And on this date also, there were the first amphibians, creatures something like the lungfish, able to survive both on land and in water. Our direct ancestors were now leaving the oceans behind. The first trees and the first reptiles evolved on December 23rd. Two amazing evolutionary developments. We're descended from some of those reptiles. The dinosaurs appeared on Christmas Eve. There were many different kinds of dinosaurs. The Earth was once their planet. Many stood upright and had some fair intelligence. Great lizards crashed and thundered through the steaming jungles. Unnoticed by the dinosaurs, a new creature, whose young were born live and helpless, was making its timid debut. The first mammals emerged on December 26th, the first birds on the following day. But the dinosaurs still dominated the planet. Then, suddenly, without warning, all over the planet at once, the dinosaurs died. The cause is unknown, but the lesson is clear. Even 160 million years on a planet is no guarantee of survival. The dinosaurs perished around the time of the first flower. On December 30th, the first creatures who looked even a little bit human evolved, accompanied by a spectacular increase in the size of their brains. And then, on the evening of the last day of the last month, only a few million years ago, the first true humans took their place on the cosmic calendar. The written record of human history occupies only the last 10 seconds of the cosmic year. Now, let's take a closer look at who our ancestors were. A simple chemical circumstance led to one of the great moments in the history of our planet. There were many kinds of molecules in the primordial soup. Some were attracted to water on one side and repelled by it on the other. This drove them together into a tiny enclosed spherical shell, like a soap bubble, which protected the interior. Within the bubble, the ancestors of DNA found a home and the first cell arose. It took hundreds of millions of years for tiny plants to evolve, giving off oxygen. But that branch didn't lead to us. Bacteria that could breathe oxygen took over 1 billion more years.